ladies and gentlemen, and my dear friends, we are back again. It's still me, Rajiv and Piyush, on the one and only Rebel Radio India. Thank you so much. You're so very kind. That's very kind.
Relax.
This guy doesn't like people appreciating what I say. So yeah, it's we've got this new machine and we're trying to experiment with it. So it's going to be a fun podcast, like always. There'll be so many things we want to discuss. Obviously, our training, the upcoming Motoroma Fest, and what we as an organization are doing over there, setting up our first MMA cage, getting 5 bouts in. We'll also be talking about the upcoming bout between Kamaru Usman and Lewis. So it's going to be crazy. Other than that, we have the recent USADA ban on some athletes doing BJJ and a lot of trivia here and there. So it's me, and Piyush, taking you through this journey once again on one and only Rebel Radio.
All right, Rajiv. So let's just start with the basic question first. How has your training been going on? How is the week looking? What have we done since the past one?
Sorry, I could stop it. So yeah, the week has been good. We always train a lot at Rebel, but unfortunately, this week has been kind of tight for I think both you and me, because we have our first MMA event coming up on the 18th and 19th. So my training has not actually taken a backseat, but it has obviously got down by a couple of notches, which I'm okay with, because obviously we have to make a few sacrifices here and there because we are trying to do something new. So what about you? I mean, how is your SNC going? How are you swelling up so much?
I think I'm just gaining muscles, which you
course.
call as swelling up.
Wait.
It's this one. All right, guys. So we are just messing around with that. But yeah, I think my training also has been affected, as you said, because we have been planning and trying to execute this tournament. Mostly it has been you, but I'm helping wherever I can. Uh, Most of our fighters from our team have been more focused towards the MMA fight. So we have been doing less jiu-jitsu, although I'm still preparing for my own upcoming super fight in April.
course.
So I'm trying to get my wrestling rounds in because I feel like that's where I lack the most in my standing game. And I feel like it's been growing. It's much better than it was before I started preparing for this. So I really like the fact that when you actually have a goal or a plan in mind, you really grow a lot while preparing for that,
Of course, I
for
agree.
trying to achieve that goal. So even whatever the outcome of that plan or that goal that you have made in your life is, if you just work towards it, it just makes you travel from point A to point B, which is the growth point.
Yeah, I think yeah, we've been seeing you drill wrestling regularly. Also, you've been teaching us through whatever you are learning. So it's been interesting. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of wrestling myself, besides a few back takes and reversals from the back. I'm trying to study Ethan's DVD. I think it is a great concept, especially when it comes to MMA, especially when people are trying, you've taken the back and people are trying to escape from the back, how to recover that, get back on, try to choke people out. So it's been an interesting week. So yeah, we both have been very busy trying to get our boys ready. I think they are quite ready for the upcoming Motoroma Fest.
The
So
back system you're talking about is from finished from the back.
Finish
DVD,
from
right?
the back
From Ethan.
from Ethan Rilliston.
Even Rob Deagle talks a lot about Ethan being one of the best back takers in the world, and in all these B team roll videos that you see, Ethan is the one who is just doing flashy back takes, and
Yeah, and he's a very good teacher also. And the concepts, obviously, I think we understand the concept of taking the back and it becoming the most dominant position in jiu-jitsu.
what was a key takeaway from that DVD? Like, what is the thing that you implemented in your back?
My key takeaway is I'm pushing my shoulder back. I've just finished DVD one, especially when people are trying to turn towards you and punch their shoulder in, and they're trying to do that rotation, elbow inside escape. If I have to stop that, the concept of taking my shoulder back, taking my hip back so that they kind of turn towards me immediately. Obviously, my chest to his scapula, and also getting the
Claw grip.
claw grip, and immediately attacking the choke from there instead of taking him all the way to my underhook or overhook side, depending on which side he is escaping from. So that has been an eye opener for me, and I'm trying to incorporate that in my own game and also trying to teach it to the students when you were gone for a short vacation for Holi. That's what I showed the com team also. So I think it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, what I liked really when I said a DVD was the lengthening the arm concept. Especially when you're switching side from one side to the other side, how you can use that opportunity. Because when people are kind of perpendicular to you,
Yes.
you can shoot your hand extra deep and then you can lock a much more tighter RNC than you do from a normal position.
And also from the defensive point of view, just misalignment of the hip.
Yeah, great
You know,
escapes.
misalignment of the hip, especially when there are no punches involved, like in jiu-jitsu. I mean, you can chill there and start hand fighting and doing other stuff with your hands. Otherwise, when our hips and our shoulders are aligned, you are so focused on not being
Stuck in that
choked,
position, yeah.
not just being choked. But once you misalign your hip and you punch either your left or your right shoulder in, depending on either side, which side you are on, then you can find the hand battles. And the only thing that this person or your training partner or your opponent can do is try to get mount. That also can be tackled. And especially for the EBI rule set, for the overtime rule set, I think this is wonderful, because even if he takes mount or you spin inside his
You're
guard,
already out by
you're
then.
already out. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it's absolutely new, so I've been enjoying a lot. Besides, obviously, the wrestling that Piyush is helping us with. So it's been a good week so far. I mean, we do a lot of jiu-jitsu. We try and bring in the best and the latest. Yeah.
Talking about wrestling, I would just go on a tangent there where we discovered this new guy,
Oh yeah.
Joseph,
Let's talk about
on
it.
YouTube, who has this anti-Danaher approach where he calls Danaher's wrestling DVDs to be kind of substandard. And he was like, our high school, the collegiate guys know much better wrestling than this.
I think, and this
And
guy
he's
backs
backing
it
it
up.
up with point. Yeah. So I sent you that video
Yeah,
to
I
watch,
love
right?
that video, because for us, especially me and Piyush, whatever Danaher says is actually
Gospel.
etched on gospel for us. So to have someone as high level as Joseph challenge that and show us why is he challenging that, because for both of us, body lock from a single leg was the go-to move. Remember, there was a point where we were swearing by it.
Plus, I was working a lot on my upper body takedowns recently. So everything was about securing an double underhook, getting over unders, or using double overhooks and body locks and integrating that as chain of attacks. But I did notice when I was practicing it, which Danaher did not point out specifically in the DVD, in his DVD, that you can get countered from that position really well as too. But now this Joseph guy comes and says, "Okay, statistically, why upper body takedowns are not so preferred in wrestling at higher level in NCAA and collegiate wrestling is because of the same fact that the percentage of successful takedowns versus percentage of getting countered is almost even."
Especially like we were discussing it in the morning, because when your hips are together, you're fighting fire with fire.
Right.
So it's very easy, especially upper body takedowns. The reversals come in very quickly.
Inside trip and
Inside
Harai
trips.
Goshi.
Yeah, even
things
if you
like that.
manage to take the person down, you can use that momentum
Get
to come on
reversed.
top.
Yeah.
And especially in an MMA concept, you are doing all the hard work, taking the person down. Suddenly, you find yourself under this guy's mount,
Yeah.
and you're getting hammered. So I think if you don't know his channel, guys, I mean, I don't know the name of the channel, which
I think it's Joseph, and I forget the second name, but it's Joseph Brasa Grappling Breakdown or something like
you
that.
should definitely check it out, because we as Indian grapplers or Indian jiu-jitsu community, we need to get the best of what
Information, yeah.
best information. And I think it's always great to challenge the establishment, and with good reason. Otherwise, a lot of people are just challenging establishment because they just want to say something against the establishment. But this guy, he has about 31 years of experience in wrestling, and he's talking a lot of sense. So I think instead of wasting our time doing things from what we think is absolutely gospel, we should explore options, drill it, and see
Yeah, for yourself.
for yourself if this is correct or if this is incorrect. The other day from Body Lock, I saw Piyush doing the headlock.
Don't give away my secrets.
Okay, yeah, I was doing. He was doing a counter, and when we talked about it and when we drilled it, it was like, oh my god, it was a huge eureka moment
very
for
very
us.
effective move.
Very very effective move. So yeah, I would request all the Indian grapplers to do their little bit of research, look at this guy up, and just follow him. I think what he needs now is support, because what he's doing indirectly for the community is making us better.
And he's making, and he's a jiu-jitsu guy himself. So a lot of criticism comes from the fact against wrestlers who criticize our wrestling as in general, jiu-jitsu guys wrestling in general, is that, oh, you're not doing a correct single leg. But then the jiu-jitsu guy will be like, yeah, but if I do it your way, I might get submitted, kimura, choked. But this guy is a purple belt in jiu-jitsu himself. He has been doing it for 5-6 years. So he has the context that in jiu-jitsu there are submissions which can be dangerous while doing like classic wrestling, but still classic wrestling has a lot of value, especially just having solid fundamentals while doing that, like having a good stance, having a good single leg posture, not committing to body locks with while your hips are far away,
Yes.
things like that.
So yeah, and also he also has a great topic where he's talking about Nicky Ryan's technique.
Yeah,
Even
he's
Craig
breaking
Jones,
down.
he's breaking down.
He trashes Nicky Ryan's wrestling so much, which I used to admire a lot before that. But he just points out these specific holes. He's always talking about Nicky being the Nicky versus J Rod match.
Yes.
And we could visibly see Nicky fatigue super fast in like within 2 or 4 minutes. And he talks about why his positioning and his stance is making it more energy inefficient than what J Rod is doing, who is trained in classical wrestling, by the way.
Yes. So I think that's why if you've seen those fights, the content is out there. So again, coming back to the topic, why are we discussing this here? Because for us, the Indian Jiu-Jitsu community is everything. So we want you guys to go there, check these channels out, see for yourselves. If you think something is working and if you agree with us, tell us that you agree with us. And if you come up with solutions that we do not know yet, bring it out, post a video. We would be more than happy to learn from them. What do you say?
100%.
Yeah. So the week has been excellent. But again, let's go back to Motoroma Fest.
100%. So what is Motorama Fest? First, let's talk about that.
Motoroma Fest is the biggest superbike and supercar event in Delhi NCR, period. Okay. It was the brainchild of a very good friend of mine, Saurav, who owns Throttle Shuttle. So we were at his cafe the other day and he was talking about, I want to do a big ass event in Delhi NCR because this part of the country doesn't see a lot of these events. So as we started discussing and things started becoming slightly clear, I approached him and said, can we possibly plug in an MMA event? And being the innovator that he is, he was like, oh, that's going to be great. So it started from there. And I also saw it as an opportunity to make sure that our fighters get the kind of platform. Otherwise, what I always see in MMA events are fighters watching the fights mostly,
Right.
yeah. And over here we have Apollo as the title sponsor. We have Royal Enfield and so many other brands that have nothing to do with MMA, or that have had nothing to do with MMA. Now we are taking center stage there. So I think we jumped to that opportunity and said, okay, let's take MMA and bring it to the audience that has the money. These big corporate houses, let them see the entertainment value, the brand value that it may add to their brand. So I think it's a huge task for all of us in the team to make it a grand success so that we can approach these corporates later on and say, bro, you enjoyed Motoroma 1. We had a great event and we had a lot of eyeballs coming in. So if you see some kind of value, will you be able to support it? So that way, what we can do is obviously have bigger events and also not rely on our own bank accounts to fund fight nights. What does that do?
Or put a registration money which we take from the fighters to
Yes.
organize those fight
Yes,
nights.
and
things.
also not have our amateur fighters fight 5 to 6 rounds and go back home with nothing.
Yeah.
So even the budgets that were sanctioned to us was not as much as we wanted, but we are more than thankful for them to even give us a budget so that we are taking care of the infrastructure over there. We are taking care of the fighters. We are paying all the fighters. The winners of everybody is being paid, no, irrespective of if it is their first fight or their 10th fight. If you're an amateur, you're putting up a show. We want to make sure that you are given something for it. So that has been a vision of this team from day one. We started the same trend with Strangle. We obviously charge a minuscule registration fee, but I think we've given our friends more than they've anticipated. You know, we've been to 5 cities now. We have the nationals coming up. We've recently announced prize money for every division, plus the pro winner will be representing our country in the Singapore trials, obviously funded by the Strangle team.
Also, I think the Strangle has become the biggest strangle yet for us till
Yes.
now, because we are just 1 year old and we have already got like 100 odd registration, and we
Yes.
are 1.5 months out.
Yes. So, all the people who've not registered, guys, we need to change the scene in the country. If you're not mesmerized by what foreign brands can offer you, trust this Indian brand, because we are two grapplers who are hell bent on changing the scene in the country. And thanks to your support so far, we've been able to do that. Now, let's show the country and the world what Indian Jiu Jitsu is all about. So, come up in hordes and sign up. Let's make it the biggest event there is, and let's have fun.
Yeah, especially the teams who haven't signed up till now. We know that sometimes people like to wait till the very end because their schedules are not cleared up. But guys, please make up your mind fast. Try to give us a clearer perspective so that the arrangements can be done accordingly, and we can produce a much more better event for you.
Of course. Like if you've been to any of our strangles, it has always been about you guys, and it will always be about you guys.
Right.
So,
Coming back to Motorama Fight Night. So let's just talk specifically about this fight night. What is this fight night? I see it's like super fight style card.
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
like one fighter fighting multiple times,
no,
right?
I mean, you and me both agree that MMA is not jiu-jitsu.
Right.
People are trying to hit you in the face, kick you in the shin, kick you in the head. So I do not agree with the point that where a fighter has to fight 3 or 4 fights in a day sometimes.
Unless you are in UFC 1993,
Yeah, UFC 1993, of course.
where you're fighting 5 fights.
That's bloody 30 years from now, 30 years before us.
It's not conducive, basically, for your body to fight fights in a row.
I mean,
just to win and all.
the sad part is because our boys and girls are so hungry for whatever little passion. They are driven by the passion to become a great fighter. So they just sign up, they get smashed, they come back bruised. CTE becomes a problem. I mean, we all know the repercussions of what happens with a great headshot. Injuries are there. Your shin is broken, something is swollen up. Imagine doing that 5 times in one day.
And by the time you reach the 5th fight, you might not even be in your best potential shape.
100%.
So you can't show your real skill, real tools, which you
Yes.
would do in a fresh, completely
Yeah, and
fight.
all the organizations saying that okay, that we have the right kind of eyeballs looking at you is basically bullshit. I think I would request all of them to just pay our fighters. They've been working hard. They go to gyms that are not cheap. They eat. They have a certain nutrition that they have to afford. They have to do their strength and conditioning and all that jazz. They have to probably leave home and come outside and stay in a PG. So there are so many other aspects of just the daily living that need to be taken care of. So I think just making sure our fighters fight one fight and they get paid something will take the sport to the next level. What do you say?
100%. Like the fighters getting paid and them just fighting one fight. And again, it's not a pro fight or it's not an amateur fight. It's an exhibition fight. We would like to make it very clear.
Yes.
That's why we are not involving any kind of federations into this, because we wanted for our fighters to gain some experience while being in a center stage, a platform where people are watching. So this kind of stuff is what will give them experience when they actually make it to a pro stage in the future, where they are fighting in, let's say, road to UFC. They are fighting on the stages of MFN, where there are actually people watching you in a big event.
Yes.
So this will be a great introduction. And some of our fighters are not that experienced as well. They have just started out. They are just getting good at MMA. They have great potential. And we are trying to make them fight against people who are better,
Yes.
just to gain some good experience.
So Ani, we both have been training some of these guys, and Nehanch in particular has only been training with us for 5 months.
Yeah.
So how have you seen him evolve? What is Nehanch's background? Let's give our audience a taste of that.
Yeah, so Nehansh comes from athletics background, track and athletics, and he has been a sprinter. I think 200 meters,
I think he's a long distance runner.
long distance runner. Okay,
It's
So-
Aman who is a sprinter.
right. So basically, they have already been an endurance athlete where they run the medium distance or the long distance. So it was a very natural transition where they went from being a good cardio athlete to now being a good wrestling athlete to a good striking athlete
To a combat athlete.
to a combat athlete. So he has definitely evolved really well in 5 months of training. His jiu-jitsu has gotten exponentially better. He has also put in the hours training in the beginners class and advanced class together, and at the same time doing a lot of grappling cage work with you, doing a lot of striking work with you guys. So his combos are also looking good. He has the ability to break you with his pace. So that is his biggest strength, in my opinion. And again, it's going to be his first fight, so I'm not holding him up to very high standard, but I'm definitely very sure that he's going to give a great performance.
I think so. It is also important for him to be debuting like this,
Yeah.
So there are some, we'll have a face off, we'll have this build up where we're trying to promote them as much because, in our opinion, I think they all deserve this. They are putting up a show for us. The least we can do is promote them a little. So yeah, Nehansh is definitely a great talent to look forward to now and also in the future because, like we discussed, he's just been training MMA for 5 months. He started as a very casual guy. Remember, the first month was very casual. He used to do one class a day.
But he was also our SNC coach in the
Yeah.
beginning, and he still is. For Rebel MMA, he's the official SNC coach, and he takes a lot of classes. So throughout the day, he's at the academy,
Yes.
and he's working with some of our athletes who are in the jiu-jitsu class, some of them who are in the kickboxing class. So he's doing good. He's making some money for himself. He is monetizing whatever he's doing, and he has a passion for MMA.
Yeah, of
So
course.
I'm sure he's going to have great results.
We were talking to Nehansh about his 7-year career with athletics, and does not mince words that he did not make any money through athletics. This is not to put any bad light or anywhere else, but Team Rebel, we've always been about paying the athletes or even people who work with us enough so that they can sustain themselves and do this sport for a long duration of time. Yeah.
Even from the very beginning, like if you just can support people who are really serious about their fighting career with some sort of incentives, that's great. I know so many people who have been working for so long, even if they are doing or taking classes, they are not getting paid.
Yeah, I know, it's funny.
So
It's
the head coach keeps all the money, and the people who are assistant coaches or just taking or covering classes for them, they are not making any money. So that's a sad state of affairs. If you are employing someone or having someone in your capacity, do pay them or incentivize them in some way, which is not just free training.
Yeah, I mean, because they're putting in a lot of hours. So well said. So yeah, moving on to Devik Maskare. Devik Maskare,
He's an interesting guy.
he's an interesting guy. Both Nehansh and Devik will be fighting under the bantamweight category. So 61.2, I guess. So yeah, Devik Maskare joined us from Madhya Pradesh.
Madhya Pradesh is from.
So yeah, that's an interesting character because he was someone who's worked as a Zomato delivery guy just to support his training. He's also worked as a clothes salesperson just to push his training in the right direction. And then he comes to Rebel, and now he is one of the assistant coaches. And like we discussed, he's getting paid for whatever services that the company is using from him. So now he's shifted to a nice PG. Now he's eating good food, buying himself a nice protein pack, and he's excited. I mean, what is your take? For me, this guy
He's
is
not a very vocal guy. He's a very less spoken or a man of few words, if you will.
yeah.
So he does not speak a lot, but he's super respectful. That's what I like about him. Earlier, he used to be very, he was never punctual, which is a very pet peeve of mine with people. If you're not punctual for classes or your training, we don't like it. But now I think he's sorted that thing out, and it takes a little while adjusting to the kind of training also that we do, because we have classes back to back where you're teaching, you're training.
Yes.
So it's a rigorous schedule over here, and you have to be in that mode if you are a fighter, right? So you cannot just expect everything to be, I'm sleeping for 12 hours and then I'm training for 4 hours and then I'm calling myself fighter. So I think he's getting adjusted to it now, and he has gotten this opportunity where he can show his good talent, because his MMA fights, he's done MMA fights in the past, and I've seen the footage. He is a ferocious striker. He has great takedown defense, good grappling, and I think his grappling has gotten better. His striking has gotten more systemized working with us. So I'm really excited to what he can put. I would love for these guys to just go in there and get some knockouts.
Yes.
But the grappler in me wants to see submissions.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because Obviously this is our event, and we want to make sure it's an opportunity not just for our fighters. For we have three fighters from fighters fighting from our team, but seven fighters from outside are coming in. Opportunities for them also, and the for Devik, like I said, is a shy guy. Now he's slightly getting into the groove, taking some English lessons and trying to speak in English once in a while, which is fun because we get to know them well. So that was Devik. We'll be moving on to our final fighter,
Main event.
our main event soon enough. So we'll be back after this short break. All right, guys, we are back. Yeah, I wanted to do that so badly because we were talking for half an hour continuously without any. Stop it.
Keep going.
We were talking. That's nonsense. Anyway, so yeah, two fighters we've already talked about. Sahil Bura is a funny guy. I mean, I think, in my opinion, I've never seen anyone like him. He's talented. He's got, I mean, endless cardio. Plus, he's done a lot of fights,
Superhuman strength as well.
a superhuman strength as well, and very, very talented. But unfortunately, even after the kind of experience he's had, he's not been able to find a good platform for himself. So this was our way, and because he's been training with us for 4 5 months, this was a way of trying to give him some kind of segue into bigger things, hopefully, you know. So Sahil Bura is the main event.
Let's talk about his MMA record because he has an insane MMA record. I think it's like 50, 60 fights
Yeah,
with like 2 or 3 losses.
that's it. Yeah.
So he has one of the best amateur MMA record. He also competed in the IMA Contenders series in which he went till finals. He lost in the
I
finals.
think he lost in the finals against
against
Neeraj.
Neeraj Pangal, who got the contract. But I saw that fight, and trust me, he had 2 head kick knockdowns, right,
Knockdowns, yeah.
against Neeraj. So the fight could have gotten stopped at any point of time, but they let it go on, and he lost because he got taken down. So we have been working a lot of wrestling with him. Once again, we have had good emphasis on making these fighters take less damage and have a grappling heavy style where they can take people down at will, or at least defend the takedown so that they can play in their comfort zone. So coming back to that topic, Rajiv, how have you structured training for them? Because you are the MMA head coach over here, so you have been taking a lot of MMA classes with these guys. So how did you structure your training for this specific fight camp?
Like you said, I'm always on for ground and pound. I'm always up for submission because I want these guys to fight for a long period of time. So even though we do a lot of striking, we do follow a lot of systems. We've been working at a lot of reactive and proactive takedowns, both offensively and defensively. Even if somebody tries to shoot, we've been learning to reverse the positions, get into a dominating position, and probably get a Dagestani or do some scrimmage before actually getting a TK, or more importantly, a nice submission, where these guys have not taken much damage and they've got the result. They've got the W. You know. So that has been quite. We've been emphasizing, both of us. In fact, we want to do that. But again, inside the cage, and we've been with them for about 4 to 5 months, to tell you honestly. So in terms of let's say even Devik, he has his own game plan because has been training a lot longer with other people than us. I don't know what will happen inside the cage. I'm hoping he sticks to the game plan because the opponent that he's fighting against is a good striker.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, this time we won't have us as coaches because
Yes.
we have so many other responsibilities during this fight night, and that's where our fear is. To be honest, will these guys stick to the game plan when we are not coaching, when we are not in their ears telling them about
Yes.
their game plan or sticking to the game plan? So that's my take on how the fight can go with these guys. But I think we have trained them well.
I think we've trained them enough. Whatever it is, I mean, it's just the beginning of most of their journeys.
Yeah.
We'll be with them through thick and thin, and whatever the outcomes. I mean, we don't want to say we have a solid game plan that's going to work all the time, but because we've studied the opponents a little bit, we are hoping in case of Devik, he takes the opponent down and does some ground and pound, and hopefully get the win by a submission or a TKO. Nehansh has been with us since day one. So I think Nehansh excels on the ground. We both know.
Right.
So hopefully he does his bit, gets a single or a double, takes people down, controls them, and gets a TKO. Definitely good submission.
Submission, yeah.
Yeah.
For Nihans, I think the key point will be to not get flustered because first MMA
Yes.
fight can be daunting, has to be daunting. You doesn't matter if you are the world champion when you first start for your in your amateur career and you're
Yes.
going into a fist fight with a real person in the cage. It's a scary prospect. So Nehansh, if he can get over that, once he starts feeling comfortable in inside the cage, once the doors are locked, he'll be he can really show people what he's capable of and the talent that
Also, he has a great gas tank.
Yeah,
But again, you never know once the cage doors are
The
locked. A lot
adrenaline
of
and
the
everything.
adrenaline is there. Your first time, you're nervous. People are watching you. So, I mean, fighters could hopefully relate with us. We've not done MMA, but even the grappling things are enough. Grappling competitions are enough to give us butterflies. I can only imagine the kind of nerves they go through when they want to inside the cage, and you know the other person is actually coming to kill you. You know.
Right.
So, yeah, Nihan's game plan. Sahil, we've both been working hard with Sahil. Sahil already was an established MMA fighter, in my opinion. We just saw him as a mold, and we just trying to take away small bits and pieces of his loopholes. He's worked a lot with him on his wrestlings, lot of scrimmage, because obviously we don't want to accept yeah, if
Bottom
you
position.
bottom position. You've also witnessed that where between Makachev and
Volkanovski.
Volkanovski. So we're working on that a lot. His striking was already good. What I've tried to do with my knowledge is basically structure it a little bit, calm himself down because he tends to go absolutely berserk. He loves to fight, and he has that energy where there's a switch that switches and he becomes a warrior, literally a warrior. So
I always compare him to Alex Pereira. He
yeah,
has very similar style where
Yes,
he has
yes,
just one mode, which is the go mode.
he's got a go mode. Yeah, it's difficult to wrestle or even do jiu-jitsu with him because it doesn't really matter what belt you are. He brings the heat on every time. Yeah. So hopefully, Sahil is also fighting a seasoned fighter. I think Rishabh is also a great opponent, and it is just the perfect match for this event. It's going to be an interesting bout. The fights that I've seen of Rishabh is a top heavy guy. He likes to trade punches. Hopefully, Sahil doesn't enjoy that too much and start trading with him.
Yeah.
You know, just like remember those MMA guys, they go to the center of the cage and say, "Let's go."
It's classic Justin Gaethje,
Justin
Dustin
Gaethje,
Poirier,
Dustin
or
Poirier,
Michael Chandler.
Michael Chandler, Robbie Lawler,
Yeah.
all those guys. So hopefully
Stand
that
and
doesn't
ban.
happen because I want these guys to be back on Monday morning, and we start training
Train
camp
again. Yeah.
because we have Strangle to train to, and we have other MMA events that will happen and other things that will happen during the year. So yeah, these are the three fighters.
So Raji, my question is, how can viewers watch this, or if they are in Gurgaon, how can they come and watch the show?
Oh yeah, if you Motorama Fest, you don't want to miss it. Not just because of the fights that are happening. It's gonna be a game changer when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to fun, when it comes to partying. Plus, the icing on the cake is obviously the cage in the middle and 5 bouts just placed for you. So if you've not bought your tickets already, PTM Insider, please go there, log on to Motoroma and get your tickets because they are selling fast. North India is generally starved for good events, and this has come about, and people are buying tickets really, really fast. So go there, check us out, and you will be there. The Team Rebel will be there, Team Strangle will be there, and we'll be more than happy to welcome you guys. We'll also have a booth. So Piyush will be taking the MC duties, whereas I'll be doing other stuff just to manage the event. So it's going to be interesting. So block your dates, March 18th. It's going to be fun. There'll be no fighting on March 18th, but we'll have a fantastic face-off that we've decided to have. March 19th, 7:30 p.m. onwards, we'll have the bouts. So you don't want to miss it.
What about people online? How can they watch it? Will we be
People on-
streaming it on our page?
I think we should be, like we discussed, I think we will be live on Rebel Radio,
Rebel
Rebel
MMA
MMA India. So all the people who follow us, it'll be absolutely free for you. We'll try to stream it as glitch-free as possible, depending on the kind of network, because it's a 6-acre farmhouse that the event is taking place in. They're going to be dirt bikes. They're going to be vintage cars, Porsches, Ferraris, heavy bikes. There'll be merchandise, food. Obviously, we have a liquor partner on board. So it's going to be party all night. plus MMA as a icing on the cake. So it's going to be a great fun. So if you want to watch, we will be creating a link, or you can just log on to our Insta handle, Rebel MMA India, and just view the matches live from
Yeah,
there.
we will announce it beforehand when we are about to go live, so you can watch it there. And even if you miss it, I think we'll have videos recorded from the fight,
Yes,
which
yes.
we'll put on later on our page or on our YouTube. So be on the lookout for that. Keep watching our Instagram page, Rebel MMA India,
Yes.
if you want to watch the fight and you're not in Gurgaon. But if
Yes.
you're in Gurgaon, please come by, show your support, say hello. We would love that.
Absolutely. So
All right.
So I think that was Motoroma in a nutshell, training regime. So a few things are coming up that are going to be absolutely a firecracker. This Sunday is going to be the trilogy between two monsters again. One monster, one okayish monster. Yeah.
Who are you calling Okayish Monster?
Lewis, obviously.
You mean Edwards?
Edwards.
Leon Edwards.
Leon Edwards. Oh,
So,
wait. Stop that. Okay. So I always get the names wrong. Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman.
Leon Edwards.
I was just trying to, he was just trying to correct my pronunciation before we came for the podcast. I was like, Kumaru Eswa. Kumaru was like, no, it's not Kumaru, bro. It's Kamaru. So obviously, Kamaru Usman. I have my bets on you. I'm betting 500 Indian rupees on you, so you better win. So yeah. So what are your thoughts? The trilogy, man. It's crazy.
Okay, so let's just back up a little bit. Let's talk about a little bit about their first fight. So I think the first fight happened around 10 years ago when they were both up and coming fighters, and they both since then have went on the unbeaten streak. Where in that first fight, Kamaru won against our
Edwards.
man Edwards. And then they both went on in their career where they blasted through their opponents, being undefeated. Unfortunately for Edwards, his career did not take him in the same direction as Kamaru's did, where Kamaru went on to fight Woodley and then win the title, whereas Edwards kept on fighting the lower ranked guys and then got punished once for not fighting Khamzat, and then the COVID situation happened and a lot of adversity, which we know now happened with him. So it was a very pivotal moment when finally the second fight happened for a title for Edwards. It was a long time coming rematch, and we all know what happened in that rematch, right?
It was crazy. I mean, no disrespect to our friend Edwards, because I think he's one of the greatest of all time, obviously. But that fight, all of us watched it, 4 rounds. We knew who's going to win.
I think first round Edwards dominated with the back take, if you remember. So the
That
first round was
First
his.
round was his. Okay, I'll give it to him. There was no damage, so I'll give it to him. But after that, Kamaru was like, okay, bro, let's do some wrestling.
Second, third, fourth round, he got beaten up.
Even DC was like, okay, it'll be good to see this guy survive. They were counting him out. Even
Everyone counted him out. Like even I was about to turn off the TV, and a lot of people actually did, and they regretted it because just as the round was ending, I think it was 1 minute left.
I
30
think so. Yeah,
seconds.
it was just
1.5 minutes, something like that. So there comes that fake jab with the left high kick.
oh my god, that knocked the daylights out of our friend Kamaru. So I think it was one of the best or the biggest moments in UFC history.
100%.
It was crazy. Everyone in the audience went, "Oh my god, what just happened?"
It was definitely heard around the world because
Yes.
moments like these are which uplift UFC into that mega stardom where everyone in the world is talking about it. Twitter is just going nuts about it. So definitely Edwards gave us that moment, and he definitely deserves all the credit for it. We can never be like, oh, it was a lucky kick or a lucky
No,
punch.
not at all. Of course not.
Because it's a setup, and that's what kicks and punches are designed to do. Like even if one connects properly, you are out.
Unlike just like football, I mean, it's not over till it's over, man. It's an MMA bout. You could be losing all the 5 rounds, 5 seconds in, boom, you knock the other person out. Suddenly you are the winner.
So that happened. Edwards becomes the champion, and then there's this long break where both of these fighters start preparing immediately for their third match. I would have loved for Edwards to fight somebody else and just add more legitimacy to his title. by beating people like Masvidal, by having maybe a fight with Kobe Covington, because these are really exciting fights for me that Edwards can be put against. Because the last fight, as you said, Kamaru was absolutely dominating him with his wrestling. Edwards looked faded near the end of the round, and that is never a good scene.
Yes.
And lightning can strike once, but twice it's very, very difficult.
It's going to be something. But again, you were right. I think UFC was in a hurry to get a title fight because there's so much of animosity between these guys. There's so much of money to be made just by hyping this, train. So
plus the UFC London was about to occur, and Edwards is the superstar now in England. So I think they tried to monetize it really
I
well.
think they have all these marketing geniuses planning things.
But don't you think Edwards versus Masvidal would have made a better storyline because of that
100%.
3-piece and a soda? Two-piece and a soda? What was that?
I don't remember.
Three-piece and a soda.
I don't remember because I think, like you said, the champion needs to be given a break. He just knocked the undisputed guy out, and suddenly you get a rematch immediately.
But that's what Usman's point is, that I have been champion for so long that I deserve the respect of an immediate rematch. And I think they have rematch clause or something if you're a champion for that long, where if you lose the bout, you have to be given an immediate rematch.
But yeah, I think for Edwards, it's if Edward wins again, I mean there is no denying.
There's not going to be any other rematch after that.
After that, it's
because
done.
It's 1-1, and now it will be 2-1.
2-1, and he will be the undisputed king of that division. So, but I think Kamaru has been quite humble with his loss. I mean, I saw his interview with Joe Rogan. He accepted the fact that he made a mistake, but now I've seen a few of his statements. They are like, okay, I'm coming back for you. I mean, your nights.
He's in the fight mode again.
He's in the fight mode. Your days are numbered. Blah blah blah. So it's interesting. I mean, the way these guys hype up these fights are something to be, studied, to be understood, and hopefully replicate in other parts of the world.
By the way, on that note, I have the hardest time figuring out what Edwards says at time. Like his accent combined with his African or Caribbean, I think his father was Caribbean descent, and the accent from there makes it super difficult for me to understand what he's saying at times. I saw his interview with Ariel Helwani right after the fight, where he won. And
you're going through the subtitles, huh?
Yeah, I think. I mean, not subtitles, but it was very difficult to understand.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, thank God he's not Irish or Scottish. Yeah, they're even worse. I mean, Conor McGregor, when he speaks, he's speaking in English. I mean, what the hell is he saying?
It's
the only thing,
plus English.
It's fook.
Again, we have to be very careful because whenever we say anything about Conor, we get so much hate on our podcast comments.
I know, we love him, but yeah, I mean, whatever.
Okay. Guys, get over Conor's, you know what.
Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, it's just slated for the coming weekend. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be watching it if I get the time, because we will be in the midst of Motoroma, obviously.
Yeah, and this is London timing, so it will probably be early morning over here.
2:30 a.m. So I don't think I'm going to watch that. Probably just switch off my social media for a bit, then watch it in the morning.
Till the whole night and watch it on Monday.
Watch it on Monday morning, and let's see what happens.
But there will be someone, because there are so many people who are of MMA community around us that day.
It'll be one of our students who's going to be sending us a video.
Overly excited person who will be just walking to us and telling us, you know what happened.
Yeah, I'm going to kill that guy. So I'm going to touch my phone. But let's see, it's going to be interesting.
So
I mean,
another exciting fight, let's come to it. Conor versus Chandler.
Oh, that's going to be
because
exciting.
they are coaches in The Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, that's going to be exciting. I don't know, because...
Who you got in that one?
Because Conor's striking is way better than Chandler, but Conor has been away.
Is it still though? Because we saw him against Dustin Poirier and he looked pretty average.
Yeah, and after that he's made millions, and he looks like a big... I mean, he looks like a different version of Conor McGregor, about 20 to 30 pounds heavier.
Exactly.
So... It's going to be interesting because this Chandler is a dynamo. With he's got nuclear energy up his butt or something. He never ceases to get tired, and he's wild. He's wild. I mean, looping punches. He's wrestling, and he makes it interesting. But again, he also at a lot of times keeps his chin open, And Conor McGregor's left hand is still something to be worried about, because we've seen a lot of guys been put out, greats like Jose Aldo, I mean, Alvarez, remember
Yeah,
those fights? Even Justin Poirier won.
Dustin Poirier, yeah.
Yeah, not Justin.
Dustin.
Sorry. Okay, yeah, you see my problem. I don't have a lot of. I don't
Justin
have.
and Dustin are confusing. I'll give you that. And
Uh,
you made this mistake even in one of our
I
earlier
know. I've
podcasts.
called everyone some stupid. My apologies to all of you. But anyway, I'll still keep doing it and hopefully apologize again. So yeah, so I think it's going to be interesting. Let's see what Connor has. He's been boxing, but he's a different person, like you said.
Yeah. So I was watching this breakdown that, by the way, guys, shout out to our man Henry Cejudo. He does
Yes.
brilliant breakdowns of
Wow.
fights.
He's Henry Soudo, obviously.
Even okay, I'll talk about it in a bit. But Henry Cejudo, when he was talking about Conor McGregor's fighting post his boxing stint, where he became a boxer for a bit, preparing for Mayweather. He says that he has learned a lot of bad habits for MMA from that fight, where he's leaning to a side, where he's very heavy on his front foot because of his karate and boxing reinforcing it. So those bad habits will get punished and will definitely get punished against a guy like Chandler, who has, as you said, dynamite in his hands. Uh, that's where I'm very kind of skeptical about Connor's chances. Other than that, Connor, as you said, is a technical striker. He is a counter puncher. That's what he has made his whole life and his whole story about counter punching, and all his success comes from there. So Chandler, who is too wild, too aggressive, blows his load super fast. So it might be a problem going against a guy like Connor, but we never know what shape Connor gets in to this fight, or if
Yeah.
this fight even happens after TUF. So they say that the contract is signed, but I'll not see it until I see Connor inside the cage.
Yes, that's true. I agree because Connor is way too big for UFC's own liking, so he
Yeah.
can dictate his terms. He's still one of the highest pay-per-view athletes for UFC. I mean, you take Connor's name and everybody still goes crazy. He's not been fighting for such a long time now.
Connor yesterday came to Ariel Hilwani show. I think I need to watch that. I haven't watched it, which has been like a long time coming. So it will be definitely good to watch his interview and see what his actual commitment and future plans looks like. Let's talk the biggest news in the town in the MMA world, which happened last week, which
Yes.
was Mr. John Jones, the greatest of all time, coming back, and in what an emphatic fashion, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can put all the sound effects for him because John Jones, man, my God, a 3-year hiatus, all the controversies around him. Serengano, the flavor of the season. He's been smashing a lot of people. John Jones comes in, grabs him, chokes him out.
Makes him look like an absolute white belt.
Yeah, I mean, not just an amateur, but people who've never fought inside the cage. I mean, if you have to make a comeback, that is it. Hopefully, this guy Connor can do the same.
But Connor has to rely on his skills, and his skill is what is in question right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's talk about John Jones for a bit. So this guy, he has had, as I said, a myriad of controversies, drug abuse, beating up his wife, doing coke, uh, hitting a pregnant woman with his car, whatnot. Like so many list of things that you would never expect from a role model. So definitely he's not a role model figure. But man, what an MMA athlete. Like what a talented, once in a generation talent.
I think so.
He just comes back and just butchers this guy who is considered to be one of the most technical strikers, for who people are saying, oh, he's too big, he's too technical. Let's see John Jones kickbox against this guy. And what does he do? He just switches the game plan on its head, goes immediately, ducks under, grabs this guy, puts him to the ground. And the next thing that we see is his Cyril Gane tapping in the guillotine choke. So that was amazing to watch. Even so many people did not believe why Cyril Gane is tapping so fast. So they do not understand the mechanics of guillotine choke, where when you are first of all pressed against the cage,
Yes.
your John Jones' forearm is dug inside Cyril's chin, and on top of that, this almost 300 pounds man now, is applying downward pressure, cranking on his neck into his forearm.
Yes.
So what are you
I
supposed
think
to do?
the only person who was unhappy then was DC. I mean, DC has to let it go, man. You guys had this rivalry, but now you're a commentator. Have you seen those memes where Anik, John Anik and Joe Rogan is like, and DC is like, what the hell happened?
DC was definitely not
But
happy for John
DC
Jones.
is very, very biased, bro. Anyway, so John Jones, what a comeback. I think it's going to be exciting to watch his journey from here on, you know.
Who does he fight though? Like, I don't want him to fight anyone other than Francis Ngannou at this point.
I don't know now he's fighting.
He's going to fight Stipe Miocic.
Miocic. I
But
don't know.
Miocic is like 40-year-old now, and
I don't think
fighting against
it is even a contest. I think
yeah,
John
his
Jones-
wrestling is better, so he won't get taken down as easy. But again, John Jones has taken down Olympians in DC.
he's taken down DC.
So
yeah.
who is Miocic in front of him? I
So
don't
I-
believe.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know about anything about Francis Ngannou now. He's become a Twitter fighter.
So Francis actually said that he's in talks with PFL or One Championship. So if he comes to One Championship, that'll be great to watch because again he'll be in Asia and he'll be fighting in these
yes,
One
but
Championship.
but we would have
supercards.
loved to see this rivalry.
But yeah,
you
that
know,
UFC fight was.
the UFC fight. I mean, one is great.
It's always we don't get like the best fights in the best time. Like
Yes.
we never got Khabib versus Ferguson when they both were in their prime to speak of that. We never got to watch the undisputed baddest man on the planet in John Jones and Francis Ngannou. And we waited for so long. We waited Francis and we waited Jones to get to the heavyweight for a period of 2 years. And ultimately it never happened.
Some things are just not meant to be, I guess. Yeah.
Spoken like a heartbroken person.
Yeah, but again, let's hopefully these guys bury the hatchet. UFC signs Ngannou back, and we have this humongous matchup. I think it's going to do wonders for the PPV also. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, John Jones coming back. A lot of things are happening. UFC obviously notching it up every time. Sorry, I had to bring this up. My favorite fighter, Shevchenko, lost, but she's going to be back and kicking some ass. But yeah.
But what a performance on Grasso.
Oh my God.
She prepared as well as anyone can for that fight. She was like in a matrix where she was one move ahead of Shevchenko.
Yes.
She was defending the strikes and
countering.
And she was countering really well. And at the same time, she drilled that spinning back kicks counter to taking the back.
And that back take was the fastest back take and the fastest submission I think I've seen in a MMA setup. So it was insane. So congratulations to you, but did it last? Have fun because she is coming back for the belt.
But we never know. Last time we saw Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Yeah. I hope she doesn't retire. That is going to break my heart, honestly.
When she lost, she just went on in this spiral of losing,
Yeah,
and just
then really happened, and she basically got her out of UFC.
so these newer generation fighters who are coming out, especially Mexico, they are great.
They're great. I think what a fighter
Great
Grasso
athletes.
is. I mean, she proved. I mean, I was sad that Shevchenko lost, but she lost to someone I think slightly better than her in this particular
Especially on that night.
Yes. Okay, so that was UFC for you, but again, we have a small trivia for you guys, which involves my favorite topic, steroids. So yeah, I mean, USADA finally said we've had enough of your bullshit. So they just banned 3 or 4 athletes for 3 years.
Three jiu-jitsu athletes.
3 jiu-jitsu athletes who are there.
Two of them being big names. One is Cyborg, Roberto Abreu Cyborg, and the second one is Wagner Rocha. Both of them are very close friends. Roberto and Wagner used to train the same team.
Now we
Fight
know
Sports.
why.
And Wagner now has his own team, Wagner Rocha Martial Arts, but both of them are buddies and they both failed the drug test. I think Cyborg just ran from his drug test. Post
I
the
believe him.
NEC
He always runs from a good fight.
Post the. Where is this? That was for Cyborg. So Cyborg and Wagner Rocha. Again, it was pretty much expected if anyone was to get busted for drugs, it would be Cyborg. Should we come back to it?
Yes, we'll be back in a short while. All right, we're back with the next segment of Rebel Radio. Piyush, what's happening? People are talking about feeder fighters, and some people are actually pointing fingers. Indian fighters being just taken abroad to be used as bait or as
Stepping stone.
stepping stone for bigger fighters. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I see this and we have observed this together, and I think rest of the community also does, but nobody talks about it. So it's like cool that we are bringing it up. That a lot of Indian fighters who are not technically at the highest level yet, they are getting used as a stepping stone for the more dominant or the more advanced fighters. Let's say, be it one championship, be it bigger organization
Like Brave.
like Brave and other places. Brave is still technically not that huge among
Or
people,
PFL.
but PFL, you can say that. So all these organizations are taking in Indian fighters, not at the highest level, and they are just getting murked over there. So again, we are not beating down on the Indian fighters, but we are beating down on the strategy of these bigger promotions, where they want their main talent to
Look good, basically.
look good. And that's why they are getting people from Indian subcontinent. It's just not the Indian fighters. It's also some Pakistani fighters, also some fighters from, let's say, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, or any other part of the world where they are not super established or they are not super technical, but they are getting used. And that's where I see a problem, because to first of all get dominated, it makes the whole MMA community kind of look nefarious, kind of look uneducated in the eye of the global community. Also, I don't know. I just don't feel it sits right with us who are trying to like help build the community to a much more respectable and reputable stage, to have our fighters be used and abused in those platforms.
You're absolutely right. I mean, we cannot be used as stepping stones for the big promotions, because it makes the entire community look bad. And some of the fighters going and fighting in these promotions are not the cream of the cream. We have way better fighters. Not to take away anything from them, but they've not been training. Some of them were partially retired. Some people, we don't know who they are. We don't know their records, so they're just being fed to these monsters, just waiting to feel good about themselves, look good, get their pro record up, and probably get a bigger promotion to sign them or whatnot. So the Indian community or the MMA fighters in the Indian community, we cannot be celebrating this. We need to be standing together and saying, bro, you're going to one of the biggest platforms in the country. Let's have a league to find out that best fighter.
Right.
Yeah, and if he or she goes out and gets smashed, then we need to come back to a drawing board and say, okay, we are still 2-3 years away from where we need to be. Let's work. But by sending in an average fighter to
Prematurely to a
a
bigger fight.
bigger fight promotion and making the entire Indian community
And celebrating that.
yeah.
That's my biggest gripe as well. Do
I
not
mean-
celebrate it, at least.
Do not celebrate it. I mean, we love mediocrity in this country. So this takes away a lot of stuff from the fighters who are putting in their days and nights just trying to be a better fighter. It doesn't have to be from anywhere. I mean, it's Team India versus the world then. He's not representing any gym or any part of the country. He's representing the country. He's carrying the Indian flag. He's not carrying a gym flag, or he's not carrying the flag of his state.
Right.
Yeah, so he's carrying the bigger banner, that's some other banner right there. So why can't we have a system where we choose the best fighter to represent the country outside?
100%
Yeah, and
there.
unfortunately, some of our media also buy onto this bullshit and feed this bullshit. You know,
they're very biased, I would say, in those
biased
respects,
and
where they are not calling the spade a spade.
non-opinionated, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have an opinion as a media house, right? I mean, you cannot just post facts. That then you become a free ads kind of thing. You're posting shit.
Yeah.
As a media house, our responsibility is to, I mean,
You can be neutral, but you do not also have to push mediocrity, as I said.
yeah.
As
I mean,
that's the
how is
most
that a
important
media
fact.
house? Let's all get together, my friends. I mean, this has to stop. Our Indian fighters, our brothers and sisters who work so hard, cannot be just put in the lion's den when they are still a cub. We need to find our own lions, and there are plenty of them. There are plenty of them. There are plenty of talent in this beautiful country. Just pick
Many
them
more
up.
well-deserving people
Well
who can
deserving
be
people.
representing on that
Yes.
stage. So
And again, this brings us to this nonsensical topic. We are this little country with a handful of MMA and grappling fighters, and we are so busy fighting against each other. Because okay, this promotion is better. We will not go to that promotion because those guys are idiots. We will not go to that because they don't do this or that. So there are factions within factions now. So what this does to the Indian community of MMA fighters or jiu-jitsu athletes makes us look like fools outside. So I think the media houses, I would like to request you guys to talk about these things. You have a greater following than Rebel Radio. You've been around for a long, long time. So at least take this onus on you and say, we are not happy. We do not support this. So I mean, that's my gripe against everything else because I think we are a great nation of great fighters.
yeah, I would totally agree with you there that you have to send more well-deserving ads because sometimes it's like I've never heard about this fighter, and they go to one championship and they get smashed, and then the media houses are publishing like, oh, but we are so proud of this guy to represent India at the highest level. No, we are not. We have much better talent who deserves to be in that spot and represent India much more better. That's the point that we're trying to drive home. So do not celebrate mediocrity, as you said. Um, we have much better representation. We have seen in form of Anshul Jubli what we can bring to the table at the world stage. And there are so many fighters who are training day in and day out in different gyms, different academies. Some of them are now even going outside, training in places like Bali. They are training in Thailand. So they are going to good coaches, better places, and they are upping their skill. Versus some people who don't even know jujitsu, don't even bother to learn the ground game. They are just, let's say, a wushu fighter, and then they try to go and fight in a MMA fight in one championship, and then they get destroyed in the first round by rear naked choke like a white belt. So we should not be encouraging that too much, and especially we should not be sponsoring that too much because that's another thing that I see. Sponsor this guy, sponsor that guy. Yeah, it's cool, but what are your accolades?
Yes.
What have you achieved other than winning these random fight nights, these random events of the lowest level in the country, which nobody gives a damn about,
Yes.
right?
No, but to tell you honestly, we have events like the MFN now. You see the developed fighters over there, pick someone from there.
Yeah.
Pick someone from there to represent the country because in the last 10 years, in the last whatever years MFN has been around for, they have just upped their game all the time. Obviously, we had some issues with them, but what they've done for the MMA community is
I mean, the issues that we put up were very trivial, like just correct the maths and
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that, which is very
what
basic.
what they've done for the Indian community is given people hope. They've given people the right to
Something
dream,
to prepare for.
something to prepare for. They're like, okay, but today look at Angad. He is. I mean, I've seen that kid for a long time. Today he is living a life of a great fighter.
He's a superstar in Uttarakhand.
Yeah, look at Sanjeet. Sanjeet is one of the mega stars of MFN. Look at Anshul Jubli. He was MFN's child. I mean, the biggest platform for him to fight in the country was MFN. We also look like other upcoming people that are doing so well in the Indian MMA community. So
MFN's fight record will give you so much more legitimacy than other places will.
other places. So do not do that. So, I mean, when we have a good promotion that has set the bars really, really high for people to at least look up to, pick fighters from there. So, especially when you're trying to promote the Indian MMA scene. If you're calling yourself that I'm from Uttarakhand and I represent an XYZ gym or Nagaland or Tripura, anywhere, that makes sense. It's your prerogative to take him, but you are carrying our national flag. So that doesn't sit well with both of us, to tell you honestly.
And a lot of other people as well.
Yeah.
It's just that they cannot voice their opinions on a platform like this, which we are grateful for. So, yeah, that was one piece of our mind, which we wanted to share with you. Moving on, let's talk something about Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
So we had this bombshell of a news Well, not too bombshell because we were expecting it to happen one day or the other.
Yes, yes, yes. Where is it? Where is it?
Like
Where is
this
it?
one.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
Boom. And this one. Okay.
Relax.
So, Cyborg and Wagner Rocha, they got busted for drug abuse or basically steroid abuse by USADA because they competed in IBJJF, and in IBJJF, if you win the title, they force you to take a drug test, and if you do not show up for the drug test or if you fail at the drug test, you get banned. So these guys have been served 3 years of ban from IBJJF competition, and now they cannot compete. So, what are your thoughts on that, Rajiv?
I've always thought steroid use in MMA or any other athlete is amounts to cheating, because obviously we've talked about this in the earlier podcast. Recovery time. I mean, Wagner Rocha is almost 40 years old.
Even Cyborg.
Cyborg is almost 40 years old. I can understand they would probably want to perform better in the bedroom or something, you know. But to bring it to the match where other people are training legitimately and winning matches and calling yourself legends, that doesn't sit well with me again. So I think it is a great ban by USADA. This will probably clean some shit off the mats. But again, having said that, if you're, there are we have tons of athletes who are not fighting under the IBJJF banner and just what is that word? Just hoodwinking these
Flying under
stress-
the radar.
Yeah, flying under the radar. There's so many, but again, that's a debate for another day.
I have a secret news to share with you on the same topic.
What is it?
There is this young athlete. So what happens is if you contest a decision by USADA saying that, oh, my samples were not correct, or if you're not happy with the decision and you contest it against them, they will not reveal your name for at least a season till the result comes out. So basically, there have been whispers that there is this young athlete, and during that time, you're not allowed to compete in any of the IBJJF competition. So this young athlete, who is a first place winner at the Worlds, has gotten flagged by USADA for his steroid abuse, and they haven't put the name out yet. But a lot of people suspect it
Oh,
to be
I hope it is not who I think it
Mika
is. Mika
Galvao.
Galvao.
A lot of people in Reddit, they were doing the deduction, and they were like, yeah, Mika is the guy who hasn't competed since Worlds. He did not compete in the Euros. He did not compete in the Pan Ams. So basically, he's the one young guy who won that division or who won in the Worlds, who is now getting flagged.
So I think you don't need to do a test.
And he's
Just
so young. He's like 18-year-old.
Look at his physique.
Yeah.
There are certain things. I've been lifting for 20 years. Okay, I mean the amount of muscle fiber Mika Galvao has in his legs and hands, I've not been able to achieve it.
And he's been looking like that since 15 years of
15
age.
years of age. I hope it is untrue because he is one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
upcoming-
you will definitely lose faith in him after this.
Yeah, I will kind of lose faith because obviously he cannot go down as one of the greatest names from Brazil.
But people forget that because Felipe Pena also got caught for steroids. Then he comes back, wins the Worlds, and then people just forget that he got flagged.
Maybe
like
that was
3 years ago.
yesterday. Maybe today people are way more because there's so much of content everywhere. People
Right.
are talking about jiu-jitsu as if jiu-jitsu is the biggest thing in the community, at least within the community.
But then at the same time in jiu-jitsu, people don't care about steroids.
That's
That's
true.
also the facet of it where people are
Yes.
super comfortable with ADCC not doing any kind of drug test.
Yes, and that's why we see those freaks in ADCC. They have
Yeah,
their biceps have
they're
biceps.
welcome freaks.
They're welcome freaks. I know. So I don't know. I mean, this is a debate that we both can go on forever and ever. But yeah, those are news, guys. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
lot of-
definitely disappointing, the Mika news.
the Mika news is very disappointing to me because after the Rutulo brothers, anyone who's given any kind of challenge to Tainan was Mika.
Yeah.
So Tainan, I always don't like establishment. So somebody shaking the establishment is always fun to watch because that in a way grows whatever we love so much. Like if you don't have an opposition in a government, I mean the government does whatever it pleases. Yeah. So when you have a great opposition, there is some kind of balance. So Mika was that balance against the AOG team for me and also against the Rutolos. Let's see what happens. Having said that, yeah, I think it is what it is. I think we should concentrate on Indian Jiu-Jitsu and Indian MMA because we are still far away from where these guys are treading right now in terms of visibility, money, and the star power, right? What do you say?
100%. We have miles to go till we reach that level. But one thing is that we don't want to quit trying,
Of
and that's
course,
what we are doing.
100%. Yeah, I think we believe in all the MMA athletes from the country. You guys are some of the most hardworking people that I know, because most of you come from adversity. In India, doesn't rich guy doesn't say, okay, I'm going to do MMA, except barring a few. It's always those people who have big dreams but very little means, who push themselves to the limits in a sport that is designed to be so brutal, so unforgiving sometimes. I mean, your career could be out in one night, and it could happen to you. It is not a freak accident like you were running in a football and somebody just slid underneath you, and there was a freak accident and your ACL got torn. People are coming to break your ACL. People are coming to bust your face,
Knock your head out.
knock your head out, give you a concussion. So I think it's a great tribute to our friends and our brothers and sisters in this community. So we are so proud of you guys. But again, having said that, we're still Rebel Radio. We'll be back with more episodes. We want to keep it as real as we can be, even if you don't like it. So if you like us, do subscribe to our channel, and also ring the bell icon. So next time we post an episode or some trivia, you guys are notified. We also have uh, Rebel Radio on all the streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple, and also Google Podcasts. So please check us out there. We want to improve. We want to be a small catalyst in bringing about some change in the Indian MMA and grappling community, or the combat community. Help us out by commenting on our page, telling us what to do next, what you believe should be the next topic for us, because we'll be more than happy to do that. Also, please, we would like to invite some guests to our podcast and discuss things and have a different perspective, because Piyush and me, we have a certain way of thinking. You may have a different way, and probably that could shed more light towards bringing about a change in the community that is the Indian MMA and the grappling community. So that was Rebel Radio once again. It's like always, it's still me, Rajiv, and Piyush on India's #1 podcast channel, which I can proudly say. So until next time, this is me signing off. Peace out, guys.
Peace out. So.
See you at Motorama Fest 18th and 19th. Boom.